Hello friends. Today we will prepare an incredible bacon-wrapped roll. Take 300 grams of fresh minced meat and beat 2 eggs into it. Add salt, paprika, and 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. The aroma of this dish will fill your home like a quiet symphony, building anticipation. Each element of this dish has its own history, its own character. My grandmother Anya gave me the recipe. Place 2 eggs in boiling water and leave to cook for 10 minutes. Pour vegetable oil into a hot frying pan and then add 30 grams of butter. This is how my grandmother always did it. She said that this combination of oils gives the vegetables juiciness and caramel flavor. This will give the roll an explosive effect. Take a medium-sized onion and grate it. I can taste echoes of my grandmother's garden in the fried onions. When the onion starts to brown in the pan, you can reduce the heat. Take a large clove of garlic and grate it into the minced meat using a fine grater. Adds piquancy, pungency, and a sharper, more distinctive aroma. My grandmother always added salt to the minced meat, and the main secret ingredient was breadcrumbs. Take 100 grams and add to the minced meat. Mix everything very well until the mince becomes fluffy and soft. Breadcrumbs have the ability to absorb moisture released from meat during cooking. This helps bind the ingredients together and prevent the mince from falling apart. Place the minced meat in the refrigerator for 20 minutes. My grandmother would take out the minced meat after it had cooled. I rolled it out a little and made a small half roll with a recess where she would put all the filling for the roll. Grate 1 carrot on a coarse grater. Carrots give the roll its bright color and slight sweetness. The bacon roll was more than just food. It was a family story told in the language of taste, a story about love, care, and the warmth of the home. When sautéed, the onions take on a caramel flavor that adds sweetness and depth to the dish. Fry the carrots lightly. Once the eggs are cooked, remove them from the stove. The eggs woven into the filling of the roll symbolized family unity, binding together all the flavors and aromas. My grandmother always said that they make the filling more tender and soft, especially if they are cooked correctly. Whenever Grandma Anya cooked this roll, and the whole family gathered at the table, children, grandchildren, Everyone eagerly awaited the first piece. The first bite was an explosion of flavor. Soft, juicy mints, sweet carrots, piquant onions, forest depth of mushrooms, and crispy, salty bacon, all this is intertwined into a single harmony. When roasted, mushrooms develop nutty notes that add complexity and depth to the flavor. As my grandmother used to say, fried mushrooms with their meaty flavor make a meal more filling and satisfying. Take 200 grams of potatoes and cut them into large squares. Potatoes go well with a wide variety of dishes, from meat and poultry to fish and vegetables. It contains carbohydrates, which are the main source of energy for the body. Potatoes have the ability to absorb sauces and gravies, which makes the dish more juicy and tasty. Place the potatoes in a saucepan and cover with hot water to preserve all the beneficial properties. Cook for 30 minutes until fully cooked. In some cultures, bacon-wrapped rolls are a traditional dish for special occasions and holidays. There are many different recipes for bacon rolls, with different fillings and cooking methods. But I will show you the fastest and most delicious way to cook it. Grate 100 grams of cheese on a coarse grater. Cheese in bacon rolls is a powerful addition that greatly enhances the flavor, texture, and overall experience of the dish. Definitely, adding cheese to bacon-wrapped rolls greatly improves their flavor, texture, and visual appeal. The choice of cheese varieties allows you to create rolls with completely different flavor profiles, satisfying a variety of preferences. Finely chop a small bunch of dill. Dill is a source of iron, which is necessary for the formation of hemoglobin and the transport of oxygen throughout the body. Mix all the filling ingredients well. The filling is the heart of the roll, determining its taste, texture, nutritional value, and overall impression of the dish. It adds complexity to the roll and makes it much more interesting than just a piece of meat or dough. The filling sets the main taste of the roll. Place the entire filling in the middle of the minced meat. The filling determines the nutritional value of the roll. It can be rich in proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and fiber, depending on the ingredients used. I think everyone will agree that the filling is the most important part of the roll, determining its taste, texture, nutritional value, satiety, and visual appeal. Bacon-wrapped rolls typically have a crispy bacon outer shell and a soft, juicy filling. This contrast in textures makes the dish more interesting and enjoyable to eat. The filling of the rolls can contain different textures. For example, soft vegetables, elastic mushrooms, crumbly minced meat, which makes the dish even more attractive. During the cooking process, the various filling ingredients are infused with the flavor of the bacon, and the bacon absorbs the flavors of the filling. Bacon-wrapped rolls are often associated with home cooking, coziness, and warmth. Bacon rolls can be served as a main course, an appetizer, or even as a treat on a festive table. Grease the roll well with tomato paste. This dish combines everything we love in food: rich taste, pleasant texture, satiety, ease of preparation, and positive emotions. Place the roll in a preheated oven for 30 to 40 minutes. Your roll is ready. Enjoy your meal.